Rudy Gobert. What do you say about this guy? Standing 7 foot 2 inches with a 7 foot 9 inch wingspan. Rudy is a true titan among men. He's an NBA player of many talents. Talents including incredible shooting.
Hands Gobert, 2 seconds, he puts it up. Oh! Gobert!
High-flying blocks, rim-rattling throwdown dunks, and elite mobility on the defensive side of the ball. In his free time, he really enjoys working on his boxing techniques. Sorry, wrong clip. This is the right one. My bad. He also likes to showcase his acting skills when he gets a chance. He really was pretty solid in some Vivint commercials.
You want me to say what again?
All jokes aside, Gobert is having a very great year. He's playing on an exciting Minnesota Timberwolves team. They are currently in first place in a very tough Western Conference. Rudy is averaging a double-double in points and rebounds. He also leads the league in defensive win shares, ranks 2nd in rebounds, 5th in blocks, and 2nd in dunks. He's consistently delivering impressive stat lines, all while being the frontrunner for his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award, potentially tying an NBA record. Amidst this phenomenal season heading into the All-Star break, it prompts reflection on past frustrations. Rudy consistently delivers stellar performances, yet he's faced reoccurring All-Star exclusions. We all remember his viral 2019 All-Star snub.
Sorry.
The moment that years later Draymond Green still likes to poke fun at.
One thing I can assure you, if I didn't make it this year, I wasn't gonna cry.
With this year's All-Star game approaching, why did this happen again? Is it due to the amount of highly skilled players in the Western Conference? Or could it be Rudy plays a style of basketball that isn't conclusive to what primarily happens in the All-Star game? Or has Rudy become a player that is massively disliked throughout the league? Let's explore some of these possible reasons and see how Rudy reacted to this year's snub. 1 year ago, Gobert being an All-Star seemed like a thing of the past. A massive trade was made for the Stifle Tower. Media continually ridiculed the Timberwolves management for giving up too much for Rudy. They felt like the trade didn't make any sense, since the team already had a big man in Karl-Anthony Towns. It seemed like Rudy would clog the paint and create a struggle on offense. Last year, it seemed that all these critics might be right. Gobert looked to be a shell of his former self. Cat was hurt a big portion of the year. There wasn't a lot of time for the two big men to build their chemistry. The Timberwolves struggled most of the year and barely made it into the play-in tournament. For a team that had endured its fair share of struggles and setbacks, this postseason berth was a testament to the resilience and determination. They showed some promise by winning the play-in games until they were crushed 4-1 in a series against the Nuggets. This year, Rudy and the Timberwolves came back a new and improved version. Gobert's skills have molded perfectly with the talented roster that GM Tim Connolly and coach Chris Finch have built around him. Great players on this roster include Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Naz Reid. Then, to add more depth, they traded for Detroit's Monte Morris before the deadline. With Gobert's rim deterrence and 3-level defensive play, it's made Minnesota incredibly tough to score on. The Wolves hold a 108.5 defensive rating. That's 2 points higher than any other team in the NBA. Gobert, individually, has a league-leading 104.3 defensive rating. This team's identity is defense, and Gobert is the piece bringing it all together. Playing at your highest level and on a winning team normally makes it easy for All-Star votes to go your way. In the current All-Star list, the Timberwolves secured 2 spots for this year's reserves, marking the 3rd occasion in team history. Although Gobert missed out on the list, the 2 Timberwolves selected were Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns, 2 extremely talented teammates who openly acknowledge the advantage that Gobert's presence on the court adds to their game. Teammate Karl-Anthony Towns spoke highly of Gobert after the list was announced. He even mentioned feeling bad that Rudy wasn't chosen. Being number 1 in the West, you need to have a defensive impact. To have the best defensive player in the NBA definitely gave us better odds of making it. It's all part of the reason we made it was because of him. So it felt weird that he's not there with us. Even though Cat mentions feeling bad, he's most likely a big reason Gobert wasn't given the nod this year. Towns is having an incredible season, shooting 52% from the field, 44% from the three-point line, and making 87% of his free throws. He's working on joining the short list of 12 players who have made the 50-40-90 club. He also scored 62 points in a game a few weeks ago, all while playing impressive defense, showing he was a very deserving All-Star pick. Which leads to the question, if Gobert had made it onto this year's All-Star list, who would have been excluded? Going up against formidable competition in a conference boasting talents like Nikola Jokic, Anthony Davis, and Karl Anthony Towns is no easy feat. Jokic's name being called seems almost guaranteed, having appeared in the last 5 All-Star games. Meanwhile, Anthony Davis has grappled with injury concerns over the past 3 years. Despite this, at the All-Star break, he nearly matched his scoring output from last season, making it challenging to overlook a fully fit Anthony Davis. However, Anthony's Lakers have greatly underperformed this season, currently sitting 9th place in the Western Conference. On the other hand, Gobert's Timberwolves hold the top spot. Historically, making an impact on a winning team has been a significant factor in All-Star selections.
How do people decide?
Alternatively, could it be that his playing style no longer aligns with the All-Star game, which has seemingly abandoned defense altogether? A game of unchecked layups and dunks or comical long jumpers? This notion was echoed by Paul George in an interview following last year's game. When he was asked about displaying defensive intensity, he responded, "I was in the middle, like, do I play hard or just be comfortable?" You don't want to be that guy that's out there hustling and, body checking. Gobert does have some great skills offensively due to his size, but we all know where Gobert truly shines is on the defensive end. Do voters, coaches, and players worry that Gobert would be that guy PG mentioned, where Rudy would feel he provided little contribution? Interviewed players mentioned consistently that they feel the game has evolved to be more about fun and safety. Coach Mike Malone had a different opinion on the game, though.
Players, but that is the worst basketball game ever played.
It feels like the players enjoy a different style of game than fans and coaches. With the league starting to regulate player playing time, it's hard to think there won't be ideas to end non-competitive basketball in the All-Star game. Or is this all a league-wide blockade, where everyone loves to hate Rudy?
New too. Don't nobody like Rudy anyway.
That's what Patrick Beverley insinuated after how Timberwolves teammates had minimal reaction to Gobert being choked out by Draymond Green. There's a potential for negative sentiment, especially considering his initial response to experiencing COVID-like symptoms. Just 2 days after this interview, he tested positive for COVID-19. This resulted in the abrupt rescheduling of the Jazz vs. Thunder game, ultimately leading to the cancellation of the entire NBA season. While it's not solely Gobert's responsibility, it certainly didn't improve his public image. This careless behavior spilled over into the locker room, with touching teammates and their belongings. This created a temporary rift between Gobert and his teammates. However, Rudy took the necessary steps to mend fences by later issuing an apology. Unfortunately, his strained interactions with teammates persisted. A slow start in a crucial regular season game, tensions escalated during a timeout between Gobert and teammate Kyle Anderson. This disagreement escalated to verbal sparring, with Anderson resorting to name-calling, prompting Rudy to retaliate with a punch. There have been numerous altercations that Gobert has been involved in. First, the wrestling match between him and Miles Turner a few years ago, an incident where Luka refused to play hot potato after a defensive stand and being ejected in a game for using ninja kicks to trip Kenrich Williams. Then, recently being blindsided by Draymond Green. Is this all brought on by Rudy? Who knows? Sometimes intensity during a competitive game can rub people the wrong way. Rudy was recently posed with a question: does your defensive prowess lead to animosity from opposing players? In response, he spoke about the camaraderie within the NBA, where players share similar experiences. You got to be able to separate the two, especially when you're younger. You just want to kill everybody. When you get older, you start to see the bigger picture. I want them to be well, to be happy, but I still don't want them to get anything easy. This shows Rudy is getting to a stage of maturity in his career. He's a very talented player who just wants to get the win every night. His reaction to his All-Star snub was, "At my Hall of Fame speech, I'll be able to joke about how many times I got to enjoy extra vacation because I got snubbed for the All-Star game." It's not the first time it happened for me, and probably not the last time I get disrespected. But I'm in a place now where I always see the bigger picture. That bigger picture clearly is earning a place in the Hall of Fame while also contributing to your team's NBA championship. It entails being a player who continually pushes oneself to excel while also elevating the performance of teammates. With Rudy's unwavering health, relentless effort, and growing maturity, there's every reason to believe he could solidify his status as a Hall of Fame center. Shaquille O'Neal once compared Rudy to a slight upgrade from Dikembe Mutombo, a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year awardee and a Hall of Famer inducted in 2015. Keep forging ahead, Rudy, because whether All-Star selections come your way or not, the accolades are sure to follow.